I'm Fernie Ceballos. I've been in the network marketing space since 2005 when somebody invited me to a home meeting, drawing circles on a pad and paper. So very old school. And it was an authentic way of building, but I did it anyway for about a year. But I burned out and no one else on my team wanted to do it. And so I discovered attraction marketing about a year into my network marketing journey. And I never looked back. It was exciting. I was like, I found myself motivated and constantly looking forward to diving into working on my business. If you've been given something to do by your upline and you're procrastinating because you really don't want to do it, whether it's picking up the phone to call somebody or send a bunch of spammy messages or whatever you like don't really want to do, but they're telling you to do. Well, when I found attraction marketing was the exact opposite. I was like, every day, every like little gap in my life that I could find, I worked on my business and filled it up with something in my business. And that's ultimately what we do here is we give you a way of building that's going to have you be excited about what you're doing. And it's something it's a skill set, and it's in alignment with what a professional needs to learn in order to make a six-figure business in any profession. So we teach you skills just like any other profession that'll help you achieve that dream. And so, within 2 years of finding attraction marketing, I was able to quit my job. I built a six-figure network marketing business. Through attraction marketing, I developed skills that allowed me to recruit not just people into my business, but also attract leaders, seven-figure earners that wanted to join my team because of the way I was building my business that was different from what they were accustomed to experiencing. And so it was just really cool seeing like the attraction part, not just apply to just regular folks, but like leaders started getting attracted to me. And those leaders, by the way, at that time had far more success in network marketing than I did at the time. And so it was like, wow, this is really cool. And, I had my first $1 million year in I think it was 2012, 2011, something like that. In 2014, I was invited to become a partner here at attractionmarketing.com. And so I became a partner and owner of the same exact organization that I first found as a student. So you can say I'm a lifer. I've been here since the very beginning, since the inception of attraction marketing. And I've devoted the last 15 years of my career to helping others find attraction marketing, find an authentic way to build that is actually fun and enjoyable. It doesn't mean it will be easy. It doesn't mean like it will always be easy, that you won't run into challenges. You still have to have grit and perseverance and a commitment and motivation and all that, just like anything else. But at least you enjoy it. If you've ever played a sport that you really enjoy, and if you did it at a high level, you enjoyed it, but it was also hard work. It was like sometimes you had to go through some very difficult things, but that's because you were doing something that you love, and that's what pushed you to go those difficult moments when you were challenged. And so this is the same thing. You're going to be challenged, but hopefully you'll find that what we do here is actually something you can look forward to doing.
So check this out, everybody. One of the things that we do here is we're pretty interactive with how we do our trainings. And so instead of me just talking at you, I want to actually work with you. And so I want you to actually categorize yourself. Okay. So drop in the chat where you would categorize yourself with regards to selling, with regards to sales, with regards to your feelings around sales. So which bucket would you categorize yourself in? Okay. Drop the number inside of the chat so we know. So bucket 1 is I love selling and I'm good at it. Bucket 2 is I hate selling and I'm afraid of it. And then bucket 3 is actually I'm decent at selling myself, but my team is resistant to it. Or like when I bring people in, they kind of like fizzle out, or it just seems like Fernie was saying, it's like dragging an anchor. And so where would you actually like categorize yourself currently? Okay. Lots of 2s, 3s. We got some 1s, got some 3s as well. Okay, perfect. Getting better at it. See myself more as an educator. Okay. And so one of the things that I actually want to have a discussion about tonight is this part. Like for most people, and we kind of just talked about this, is I actually would argue that every single one of you has the potential or already could be inside of bucket 1 that you really do love sales and that you actually are effective at it. You just don't have the right process that's authentic to you and that's working, that would work for you, that you would feel confident in, that we kind of just talked about, right? That you said it would feel amazing if you had that ability. So I want you to think about this, because how many of you are like, the only way I've really kind of been taught to sell is to promote my company or promote my products. But what if you could sell more on social media? And I actually would argue, and I think Fernie would say the same, that you actually can sell more long-term and your team can sell more long-term without ever mentioning your company or your product names, and doing it and operating in a way that feels authentic to you and your team, which is important. Because I've never met someone who's built a network marketing business that's done it all by themselves. Like the team is a big, huge, critical part to it. And so this is absolutely something that's going to be really important. Now, where's this training coming from, right? So Fernie and I had a discussion not too long ago, but we were trying to figure out, what's one way that we can come back and we can serve the community, we can serve our anybody that's subscribed to us inside of our emails. Like if you're getting emails from us or you're in our Facebook community, like how might we be able to serve people better? Well, when Fernie and I were talking, there's basically a couple of things that have come up recently as people are having conversations with us, as we're looking through comments. Is one of the big things that happens for a lot of people is they are recommended inside of their business to sell their products and services, right? But then there's this like feeling of, well, why won't anyone reply to me? Like, why won't anybody respond? And then for a lot of people, it's like, well, where is everybody? Like, I have no one to talk to. And I feel like I'm shouting from the rooftops. And like, for some reason, my biggest problem is that I have no one to talk to. So how many of you kind of feel this way, where you're like, this is me right now in a nutshell? Like I post things, I'm recommended to put out, promotions, nobody's replying. Or here's the other thing. And I think, Fernie, I know that both of us have talked about this before, that like we know of people who have promoted their products and have gotten results, right? So we're not saying that it doesn't work, but we're talking about like long-term longevity. And we're also talking about what your team would really want to do. And for a lot of people who don't necessarily have a ton of influence, yeah, you may put a couple of posts out there and they get some traction, but then it like fizzles out and you don't know what to do. And so this is one of the big common things is that a lot of people, yes, okay, cool. This is me, I'm entertaining myself right now. I know my team definitely is. It's slow, but I'm starting to get some responses and it doesn't necessarily work for me. So it's either a personal thing or there's also, we're getting this a lot as well too. That it's like the people that you start to bring in, even if you recruit anybody or you bring in customers, I'm calling it the team fizzle and fade, where it's like, Fernie loves Homer Simpson. So I was like so pumped that I could find this one, but like, how many of you can relate to this? Like, well, I'll just do it later. And it's like pulling an anchor. It's like maybe your team had a quick little pop, but then all of a sudden there's a fizzle and fade, or somebody just ghosts you and they're no longer doing anything. Or your upline is like, constantly telling you, just go make your list of 100, go find other people to talk to today. Like that's your job, that's your responsibility. And this is how you actually feel. Maybe it's not even a team fizzle and fade for your team, but this is how you feel. Like you start to get tired and you want to resist and do anything possible. Fernie, is there anything that you want to kind of share about just like both of those things? Because those are typically the people that kind of come to us.
Well, I'm going to admit something right now. I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but it just popped into my head. I actually was a person who ghosted my upline. Like after I built my business for like 9 months, going on a year, and hit it really hard, but no one else was doing it on my team. I'd recruited 17 people and they had recruited a few people and my team was growing at one point and they just started fizzling. Everybody's quitting. It's like, it was just so demotivating. And it wasn't authentic to me. And so when I found attraction marketing, I literally just stopped doing anything my upline had taught me up until that point. And I ghosted my upline because I was like, all my upline's going to tell me to do is just continue doing whatever it is that I've been doing for a year that wasn't getting me results. And so it was just like, the reason people ghost you is not because they're bad people. It's they're ghosting you, whether it's prospect, whether it's a team member, or even somebody that was active in a builder and then kind of dropped off. It's because they burned out on the process that you had them doing. Like the process didn't work. It was inauthentic to them. Like maybe if they became a sociopath and were able to compartmentalize the fact that they were using deceptive tactics or inauthentic tactics, they might stick around, but that's few and far between. It's like, and that type of person is usually the really salesy car salesman type person that just wants to make the sale and that's all they care about. And they're just going to manipulate people into, doing what they want them to do. And so I think a paradigm shift for many of us to take a look at is the ghosters to actually accept responsibility. Like in other words, rather than blame the ghoster, kind of look at what you're doing and how you showed up and what you've been teaching them. And very likely you're going to find that those people hate what you're doing just as much as you do, even though you're willing to do it. They kind of gave up sooner than you're going to give up, and you'll eventually give up on it too because you hate doing it. How long are you going to do something you don't like doing? Not for the rest of your life, and not very long. And so I think this is the reason team fizzles, and the reason you're not getting duplication is not because of the people. It's because they hate the process. You're not going to grow a big team if the majority of your team hates the process for building.
Yeah, and I love that you're sharing this because this is like, I think it's so interesting. We, the team and I are actually starting to dig into true duplication numbers, not like short term when somebody enrolls somebody, how fast they duplicate, but long term, how many people actually stick around. And that's where I believe what we have. And one of the elements that I'm going to share with you tonight, it creates longer term duplication because people are happy with how they show up. Versus how, you don't
have to babysit them. You don't have to say, hey, what are you doing today to grow your business, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to micromanage them if they enjoy the process.
Exactly. Because if they don't, then they kind of feel icky, right? It's like all these things, icky, not authentic. There's a hidden agenda. Like this is actually one of the biggest ones that we get from people is that they don't want to feel like they're hiding something. And they want to feel like they're authentically themselves. It's not causing them progress. It's tiring. Like actually for a lot of people, it's stressful and it's tiring and it's not working long-term. Or like you said, Fernie, afterwards, after you've done it for a little bit, you may see some progress, but then you get burnt out or your people get burnt out. And so now you're like almost feeling like I have to go repeat this process again. And that's where I truly believe that there are different options. And that's what we do at Attraction Marketing, because this is how I feel that if more people had the ability to apply attraction marketing with the way that we teach, with a couple of things and strategies I'm going to share with you tonight, like you very well might be, if you don't have a team just yet, you might have a hidden group of producers. Or if you already have a team, you actually have people on your team that are hungry to produce. They just don't know how to. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about an anti-selling social media, 2 different kinds of posts that you can leverage and utilize to start pulling in more comments, pulling in more high quality customers, followers, and ultimately teammates, as you'll see. And as you'll see, some of our students have been doing with the formulas that I'm going to show you. So what qualifies a social media post as anti-selling? Okay. What actually makes it like think of it like a checklist. Okay. As you start writing these down, like what actually makes it anti-selling? Well, one of the biggest things is that actually you don't have to mention your company or names of your products at all. You'll see inside of the case studies that our students here are getting results, but you don't see them mentioning their products. You don't see them shouting from the rooftops, all these different things, because you actually keep control of the conversation. You keep control of what you want the people who are reviewing your posts to do, which is really, really important. Okay. So that's one qualification. Another is that there's like no links that you put inside your post so somebody can go product shopping by themselves. Because here's what typically happens. When somebody goes and they go product shopping on your site, they get lost in the world of the, thousands of different products that you have, because most companies do. And then what do they end up doing? Nothing at all. Okay. Because you're again leaving the choice to them. One of the biggest qualifiers of a social media post that makes it anti-selling and it makes it authentic and fun is that it actually inspires people to buy into you, which is huge. And you'll see that in just a little bit. It causes inspiration. It sets expectations for your people. It provides leadership. It provides value, and it causes comments and curiosity. And more important than anything, it actually starts an authentic qualification process to effortlessly enroll new followers, new customers, and new teammates. So I want you to think about this. And I know some of you are starting to get indoctrinated into how we do things, but what would a post like this feel like for you? Like, think about that. The difference between like tiring posts or feeling like you got to get yourself inspired to put something out there. But if you just had the ability to go, okay, how do I attract new people to me, or reignite people that are already there? They just weren't turned on by how you were promoting your business originally, right? Would it feel less tiring? Would it feel exciting? Would you feel like you're actually being yourself? And that's the most important part here of what we kind of teach. And this is kind of the element that I'm going to cover inside of these two different posts, is we're going to be talking about audience attraction. And this is basically where your audience is either currently already here and they actually are following you, you just haven't been speaking to them, or there's other ways to actually get people to raise their hands and reach out to you that you don't even know. So I'm going to dig into the first post. Fernie, is there anything else you wanted to share before I kind of just jump in and I share some examples?
Yeah, I think sometimes our company, here's the thing, there's so many great companies. There's not a company in the world that doesn't claim they have the best product, they have the best comp plan, they have the best fill in the blank. And so, and ultimately, it may be true. You may believe that, but ultimately, none of your prospects care about that. And so, when you're promoting, like pasting pictures of your product and posting stuff about your company, all of that it's disempowering you as the person that could guide them through solving a problem somebody has. Guide your prospect through solving a problem somebody has. No one ever buys anything unless they have a problem to solve. No one ever buys anything unless they have some sort of desire to have fulfilled. So, as you will see, when you lead with that, as opposed to leading with a product, it doesn't feel like a pitch. It doesn't feel like you're selling. It feels like you're helping somebody, solve a problem or fill a need. And that's the reason you don't lead with your company. You don't want to disrupt how people naturally buy something. And so you're going to see as we go through this, how this emulates how people naturally communicate with each other, how people naturally help each other solve problems. If you ever sat down with a good friend and you shared something that you're challenged by, the way that conversation goes is your friend is naturally going to want to help you solve that problem. They don't take out a folder and show you a brochure on a bunch of products. They actually have a conversation with you. And if they don't know anything about the problem, they'll educate you. And so we'll get into that. But this is all just about being natural and not trying to operate with an agenda, like actually help people solve a problem and fulfill a desire.
Yep. And I love that, because that's what makes it different. Is it's not shouting, it's taking a stand for what you believe in and what you know your people believe in, but they just haven't heard it from you yet. So the first post that I'm going to unwrap here is what we like to call the reboot post. So this is for some of you that are in here. How many of you are like, yeah, I know that this is valuable, but I've kind of been like spamming. I've been like a human. My social media profile has been like a billboard for my company. And it's just like everywhere. And all I talk about are my products. And all I talk about is how amazing my company is, because I'm so excited about it. But now I'm realizing that, number one, it's not long-term, not like natural and authentic. And number two, I'm starting to notice, which is what happened to me, that people started to block me and people started to unfriend me. And honestly, people that like I thought were very, very strong friends of mine kind of started to make like fun of me. And so I actually talked about like or for some of you, you never posted anything because you were petrified to post anything and admit that you were actually promoting something. Because that's another kind of person that might be here, where it's like, no, I just didn't do anything at all. And so one of the cool things that you can actually do is do what we like to call a reboot post. Like, how do you reignite your profile with people that you're already surrounded by, okay? To gain more followers, to cause more impact, and ultimately pull in some customers and teammates that you thought actually may never really be interested in your stuff. So here's the purpose, okay? Make sure that you take some notes. Plus, I'll show you an example of Ashlyd's who sent in. They were like all excited. They're like, of course we want to show other people what we've done and the results we've gotten, which is super cool. So this is kind of the post of a reboot. It resets your profile. Now, the cool thing is you could do this at any point in time. And if you start playing around with this and 3 months from now, you're like, shoot, I kind of feel like I need to reset again, you can actually do that. And so this is a cool part about a reboot post, is it resets your profile. It identifies your perfect prospects who are already following you. It actually gets them to pay attention. It sets expectations with the people who are following you and the people that you're friends with. It shows self-confidence. Remember how we talked about anti-selling posts are actually about leadership, and it's about taking a stand for what you believe in. And it helps you qualify and, most important, disqualify current followers and friends that you have, so that you can actually gain qualified people to talk to. So here's the flow of how it works, and then I'll break down like real life what one of these posts look like. So the first element of it is you want to give a heads up inside of this post, and then share what you're up to, then acknowledge what wasn't working for you, set expectations of what value you'll be sharing, and then basically tell them what to do next, and then qualify and disqualify any current followers and friends. Because here's the thing, you will not please everybody. And every single person that you come across is actually not your prospect, because you're going to have like negative Nellies that are just in your sphere of circle of people that maybe you hung out with at one point, or friended you from high school, or, hung out with you in, one of the jobs that you had previously, and they're not your cup of tea, but yet they're still there. So you want to actually disqualify any of those people, and you want to qualify the people that actually might be open to listening. So this is a great way to either gain some extra followers, or also kind of like politely tell anybody who doesn't really want to pay attention to the cool things that you're going to be up to like go hang and find other people to follow, which is okay, because this is about building and growing a business and about growing influence. This is right. Ashlyd, and she so kindly put this in here, and I'm just going to actually move my face and move Fernie's face so that I can see. So I was asking for, a couple of our students who actually have put these posts to the test. Because like Fernie and I can shout from the rooftops and say, here's the process and the flow of how it works. Here's how we utilize it. But when we have students that actually utilize it and get results, like that's what makes us and causes us to like get so excited and fired up to share this with all of you. So as you can see, Ashley has more people answering her posts now, her stories, they now comment, and she's gained more followers just from this one post that she put out there to reboot and reset Instagram. That's where she chose to put it. Now, it wasn't all Spanish. It's translated to English, but the process is the same. So the first thing that you'll see, okay, is that she actually gives people a heads up. She says, if natural solutions do not attract your attention and you don't want to create more income, then my profile is going to be a little strange for you. So the interesting thing about this is all about self-confidence. This is about her going, this is what it's going to be about. And if like that's not your thing, then you're going to think it's a little weird, but I'm cool with it. And then she talks about what's been going on for her. She says, for a few months, I've been looking for the solution to my desire to produce money and take care of my daughter at the same time. And yes, I got the solution that suits me perfectly because it's doing what I'm passionate about, using products that help me choose a more natural solution to my daily problems. And at the same time, helping other people who are in the same situation as me, moms at home with children, wanting to be a source of income, but without having to sacrifice precious time with their little ones. Now, as you can see too, is she also saying like, this is who I want to attract. This is who I want to help. This is who I want to cause change into. Like, this is the powerful part about this post. And then she says, so instead of being a walking spam messenger, so she's acknowledging again the things that did not work for her. I'm going to do something different. I've done a lot of research on different home businesses and also on how to provide natural solutions. And I'm going to be focused on sharing that message with those who are also interested. I'll be sharing extra information frequently on my profile. I'll give special trainings every week on what I'm discovering. And I've learned that this is super important to share the value that I'm learning before talking about the products that I love and that have helped me achieve my goals of less toxic life. And in turn, that helped me create my business and my dreams. Now, I'm going to go into the next slide because that's like the final element of it. But she got 26 likes or responses from this. And then she had people commenting in. Now, the interesting thing is that this is just a reboot. So as a reminder, don't think that every single post you put out there is going to turn into customer sales and enrollments. There's intention behind it. And so for her, it was, how do I gain the right kind of followers? And as you heard, she's getting different posts now. Her stories are getting comments. Her posts are getting comments. She's gaining more followers because of how she's described herself in this post. So then the final piece is basically tell people what to do next. If you want more details and you want to dust off those neurons and start being what you want and not circumstances tell you to be, then put your comment in or send me a DM. Now, this is the final qualify and disqualify. She goes, P.S. I'll continue to post about my daughter, her meals, tips from mothers, and things that I love, but be prepared. If you're not a fan of healthy tips or business tips, you may not be in tune with what I'm going to publish, since this profile is to help those who are. So pretty amazing to like make an overall reboot statement that it's like, this is what's going on. This is what didn't work for me. This is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm passionate about. If you want to come along in the journey, that's awesome. If you don't, then that's cool too. And so this is one of the most effective kinds of posts that you can do to get yourself started. Fernie, is there anything you wanted to share just kind of on the insight of how Ashley set this up? Because we didn't give her like, we fill in the blanks and you say this. We gave her a process and then she created the process herself. That's kind of the part I like about what we do here at Attraction Marketing.
Yeah, it's just, so much of what is taught in network marketing is about trying to get everybody, like everybody's your prospect is a common phrase. The 3-foot rule, anyone that comes within 3 feet of you digitally or in person, is a prospect. She clearly is saying not everybody's a prospect. Mm-hmm. And she's saying she's okay with that. And she's not tied to the outcome. And all of a sudden she forces people to choose a lane. Yes, I'm going to follow you. I'm interested in this, or no. And she doesn't care either way what people choose. And that, this is ultimately where the idea of posture comes from. Is posture is not just something you fake. Posture is something you are, and that you want to serve those that want to be served. And that's it. And that's leadership. Leaders can't appease everybody. You can't work with everybody.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and by the way, she's also alluding to the idea that she's going to help people solve, create solutions around a particular set of problems in their life. And if you're not having these problems, if you don't care about these things, then my message is not for you. So she's getting people to raise their hand and go, yeah, that's for me, or no, that's not for me. I'm going to unfollow her, and that's it. I was like, and that's okay too. Like all of a sudden you just cleaned out your social media profile from any followers that might have a negative reaction to anything you post. And so this is the reason it's a reboot. It's like, you're now operating from a whole new different place. You're no longer needy. You're not chasing people. You're not posting stuff and hoping, crossing your fingers, people respond. You're now operating from a place of abundance, and you're not tied to the outcome. And when people sense you're not tied to the outcome, that's actually authenticity. If you don't care whether someone buys something or not, that creates trust. And it's counterintuitive, because the only way someone's going to buy from you is if there's trust. But the only way you have trust is if you're authentic and don't have attachment to the outcome. So that's what Ashlyn did here. Is she just said, hey, I don't care what you do. This is what I care about. Here's who I'm here to serve. And if this fits you, great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. I love you still. And that creates trust, and therefore it allows a relationship to flourish.
Yeah. And that's the value in, this is an anti-selling post. This is an attraction marketing post. This is a way to pull people into you, because now she's made a statement, right? And I think Erica said like, holy cow, that's so bold. But that's her, right? This is like how she portrays it. This is how she communicates it. And so it's like, for some of you, it may not be as bold, or for some of you, it may be like a way that you would phrase it differently. But for Ashley, this is what ended up working for her. And for so many people, whether it's you or it's a teammate of yours, just taking a stand for yourself and going, no, this is what I am confident in, how I want to show up authentically as me. I can't tell you how much that totally changes and transforms how you show up on social media anyways, which is absolutely huge. So as I start hopping into the next tree shaking post, this is going to be the other style of post we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you 2 different examples. What did you get from the first post? What did you understand and get from this first anti-selling post, which honestly is a selling post? That's the interesting thing. We call them anti-selling, but they actually are selling, because what did Ashley sell? She sold herself. She sold her self-confidence. She sold her value that she's going to be providing. She sold her leadership. And so all we're talking about, which is how come I truly believe every single one of you can fit into that number one bucket of loving selling and being effective at it. It's just understanding what you're selling. And so for so many of you, it's not about selling your company. It's not about selling your product. It's about selling yourself and selling what you can provide and then showing up that way, which is so important. So as you're dropping in the comments, your takeaways from this first post, and also drop in there how you might see yourself doing it as well. Is there a specific element that you would want to add in there for yourself? And if you're not sure, just drop in the chat. I'm actually not sure. Like, I don't know. This is great, but this is something where I get foggy, and we can talk about that as well too in a little bit. So let's talk about the tree shaking post. All right. And what that means, because I know that that's kind of like reboot post. Maybe you kind of got that immediately, but like tree shaking post, like, come on, what is this all about? But this is another great way for you to get started. And you'll see that both posts are different. Okay, on how they're set up. And that's the part that I love about what we do here at Attraction Marketing is there's a freedom to be yourself. So the tree shaking social media post purpose and flow. Well, it's really about shaking your tree to see what falls out. Freddie, do you want to give like a quick little explanation on kind of the purpose of you naming it a tree shaking post for people to understand?
I mean, it literally is if you guys ever had some sort of citrus tree or fruit tree in the backyard, it's like, you want one? It's like, I don't want to really work that hard to get some fruit. So you kind of just shake the tree and some fruit falls out. So you basically get the reward for minimal effort. So that's the idea here. It's like, all right, you've cultivated a relationship with with people who are connected with you, who are friends, followers. You add value, and now you're kind of seeing, all right, I'm gonna shake the tree now, and see who raises their hand and says, yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to have a conversation or work with you or whatever. And you're not working very hard to get that response. So it's by no means the only way you're gonna attract customers and team members to you. But the idea is shake the tree and see who responds. And those are the people you can have enrollment conversations with and introduce to whatever you're promoting, whether it's your product or opportunity. So that's the idea. I don't want to give it away any more than that. It's just, that's how come I called it the tree shaking post. It's like, my MO is I look at something that's hard and I try to figure out, okay, how can I make this easy? How can I where's the workaround? And it's, it comes, you could say it's laziness, but I work really hard actually. I like working. But I don't like working needlessly. I don't like if there's a way to do it simpler, faster, more efficiently, then I want to figure that way out. Yeah, because I'm a busy person. I don't want to be wasting energy. And so that's where kind of the mindset comes from. It's about how do I make this work faster, more efficient? How do I expend less energy and get more output?
And so it's like, so what's the flow of that, right? And I love this. I just love the concept and the idea. And you'll notice that the two different examples that I share are different, right? Because they can be different. And it's up to your interpretation of how you want to portray it. But the flow is, can kind of stay the same. So you can either do it where there's quality content that people want to engage with. So it's like, how do you show how to be awesome? Okay. Or it highlights your ideal followers' specific problems. Now, sometimes without even mentioning it, sometimes without even asking them, but how you share and how you put out a post actually allows people to literally shake down into the comments and go, I feel like I need to communicate with this person because it's like, it sounds like they're speaking my language. Or it might be to help get followers to see your leadership ability, as you'll see. And it also prepares your followers to share their biggest challenges. Now, you'll notice that this either happens in the comments or it can happen in Messenger. For a lot of our students, as you'll see in one of the case studies, there may not be a lot of reactions or comments, but most of the work that gets done by this individual actually happens behind the scenes in Messenger because people are reaching out to her. And she ended up enrolling 10 people in 8 weeks due to the process that she started to put in place with what you'll see. So one big tip for all of you to understand and know is like lots of reactions don't always mean that there isn't other stuff going on in Messenger or that people aren't going to reach out to you or they're not going to privately go, hey, what you put out there, or the question that you dropped, like, I'm curious about this. That's actually an amazing secret sauce that starts to happen. It's a whole nother level of attraction. So I wanted to share with you one of these tree shaking posts that Thomas just recently put out. Okay, Thomas is an amazing attraction marketing specialist with us, but also a case study student with us as well too. And so he wanted to share this one with you because I was like, hey, has anybody done one of these posts recently? He's like, yeah, I just did. And literally 7 days later, he already has two customers, and he was talking with one today. He was like, who will most likely enroll? Isn't that cool to like literally have that kind of conversation? If you're like, yeah, I already enrolled in 2 customers in 7 days just from this one post. And then, I'm talking with somebody today who's probably going to enroll. Like that's what Fernie's talking about, that different level of posture. So I want to share this with you so that you can understand and see kind of the process of how this works. Now, remember, with Ashley, she mentioned that she is making an income from home, promoting products that she loves, but she never talked about her company or her products, and neither does Thomas, okay, as he goes through. But what you'll start to see is that what Thomas does in this post is he's developing and showing his leadership skills, his sense of understanding and wanting to support others, but also his journey and his growth in himself, which honestly is one of the highest leadership qualities that are possible out there, okay? So how he starts it out, I'm here to walk with you. It's been 18 months since I started this health and wellness journey, and I'm happy to report that I'm still holding steady, maintaining my weight, and keeping my other goals a priority. 18 months ago, I weighed 60 pounds more than I do today. My blood pressure was 35 points higher than normal. My cholesterol had surpassed 200. My resting heart rate was above 85, and I couldn't even walk fast up my stairs without feeling like winded. Today, I'm nearly in the best shape of my life. So as you can see, he's being vulnerable, right? He's putting himself out there, and he's putting himself out there. This is on his personal profile with hopes that, like Fernie said, he'll shake down some comments. Now, they may be people who have been following him for a while because he's been very consistent, or they may be somebody who's brand new that stumbled upon him and that's connecting to his message. So I've changed my mindset. When we talk about providing value, sometimes what people do is like, here's some value for you. Step 1, change your mindset. Step 2, create better habits and a healthier routine. But that's not what Thomas is doing. Thomas is speaking about value through what he's discovered. And in turn, he's also kind of calling out his followers of things that they may be thinking about themselves, but they need a leader to help them get there. My appetite is for healthier foods. I crave exercise. My relaxing activities don't center around watching TV. One of the primary additions to my routine that's worked for me is have found a BioCell and collagen that's replaced all the other supplements I used to spend more than $100 a month on. So obviously he has a product that he sells, but he's not talking about the name, what it is, any of that kind of stuff. He's just talking about a replacement that actually has replaced what he used to spend more on, right? So he's also helping people understand kind of almost pricing in a way as well too for him. I've eliminated arthritis symptoms, enabling me to live my life easier. And I'm excited to share that today my metabolic age is 7 years younger than I am. 18 months ago, I only watched his friends went on these fast cleanses, workouts, marathons, and more. Today I'm in day 7 of 75 hard challenge, which isn't even a challenge that he can promote or anybody can promote, but he's doing it for free. It's a really cool challenge. I've done it myself as well. And while it is a challenge, I'm doing it. And in just a week, it's already challenging me. If you're sitting or standing, so this is where he kind of goes into the direction of like, how do I start shaking down some comments? So he'll have people who comment. He has 67 comments and 2 shares of people who are just gonna be like, that's so inspiring, right? So that's one element, which is an open comment for conversation, by the way, for you transitioning something into Messenger. But now he's kind of directing people more. If you're sitting or standing there watching, thinking like I did 8 months ago, I need that, or I want those results, but you believe you can't do this, well, you can. I'm here to help you if you need it. I'm here to cheer you on if that helps. I'm here to walk or run beside as you go. Drop a let's go in the comments, or to me in Messenger if you'd like to know how to get these results and if you want some support and taking your first step. So he's not shouting from the rooftops all about my product. It includes this, it's discounted, there's a promotion, but he's doing everything about selling himself and selling his products. So isn't it interesting that this whole anti-selling is actually selling? It's caused 2 customers already. It doesn't mean that post is going down. So I anticipate it's probably going to close more, plus all the other posts that he's going to be strategically doing. So isn't it interesting that a post like this, where typically people are talking about their products or they're talking about the company, he actually is talking about himself, and he's talking about the change in himself. And for most people, when they're looking for a leader, that's what they're looking for, somebody who's willing to raise their hand to grow and change. Okay, so this is something that's really, really impactful when it comes to a tree shaking post, because he's just targeting his friends and his followers on his personal profile. He's not actively going out and approaching people. He's like, how do I put something out there that shakes people down to get them to comment so that I can start having more conversations? Fernie, is there anything you wanted to add in for this one?
No, I mean, this is excellent. A tree shaking post, gets people to either identify with or share their challenges or problems. And ultimately, what falls out of the tree, so to speak, when you shake it, doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's ready to enroll and ready to go now. Yep. It can be just somebody expressing a challenge that they would like some help with. So if your tree shaking post is simply somebody identifying with a certain challenge or a problem that they're struggling with, then they will just comment, yeah, I deal with this all the time. So I get frustrated every time XYZ happens. And if that's what they say, that was the fruit that you wanted to come out. That also creates an opportunity for outreach, for connection. So it can be like the fruit that comes out could be an opportunity for a conversation. The fruit that comes out could be somebody private messaging you. The fruit that comes out could be a new connection. And so, there's so many different ways of doing this. So don't think like somebody was saying, hey, I feel at disadvantage because I don't have a big story. Well, there's a lot of different ways to construct these posts, and in a way where what will come out of these posts is just people being open to having a conversation about exploring how might they, solve this particular challenge or problem.
Yep. Which is actually exactly like Marjorie Lynn did. And you'll notice, and I was kind of intentional about putting this one out there because she said, hey, this post didn't get a ton of reactions and it actually didn't get a ton of comments, but what it did is it got my first reach out. And so I wanted to share this one with you so you could kind of see the difference. She got her first lead ever on social media reaching out to her, and she wasn't very excited about posting on social media. So this is what she did. Her image was 10 things network marketers need to do. Number 4, shift your mindset. Not everybody's your prospect. So she's really going into kind of educating people, right? And so what she puts here is, contrary to the thought that everyone is your prospect, that's not actually the best way to grow your business. What if you were trying to get people who dislike strawberries to invest time and attention into your strawberry promoting business? Of course, that would be a waste of time, but it's how a lot of reps have been taught and are trying to do business. What you need to do is find the people who actually do want and need what you're offering. That's obvious enough, but how, you ask? Good question. If you want to find out how to attract the prospects you want into your business, leave a comment or message me to find out more. So she's a little bit more direct, right? She's educating. She's sharing almost like a click in somebody's brain to go, shoot, that's how I think right now, but I don't want to think that everybody's my prospect. So yeah, I want to know. So then guess what happened? Her comment by Rachel was, I'd love to hear more about this. Now, here's the thing to remember. Not every single person who connects and reaches out is going to be someone who you enroll immediately, but she got her first lead ever on social media from this post. And she's like, it wasn't perfect. It didn't get a ton of replies or comments, but then I started to notice that a lot of people were reaching out to me privately because they didn't want to admit their biggest problems, but they did want help. So the interesting thing about a post like this is that maybe it didn't shake down as much, but it got people's attention. And so this is kind of a cool thing because Marjorie Lynn was someone who did not ever post on social media. And this was her first post that she ever did, kind of having after going through the process of how do you actually attract people to you?
Actually, the fourth pillar of what Kate shared is around systems and duplication. It's on how you might be able to serve your team. Here, obviously, everyone in our community has big goals, ambitions, big dreams, and we want to serve them there. But we also teach you how to serve the people that just want to make a couple extra $100, $500, an extra $1,000 a month. How do you serve them at the level they want to play at and be okay with that and be proud of them and support them? Yes. And how do you do that in a leverage way so that you're not babysitting, 1,000 people on your team? And so that's around creating duplication and systems. And so, that's something you can definitely talk to one of our specialists on. And also the information they're going to share with you, post call also kind of highlights a little bit of that as well. Ultimately, what we teach here, we didn't touch on it too much, but what we teach here is we show you how to not only do the attraction, but how to teach your team to do that as well. And if, like I said earlier, if your team enjoys the process of building and you enjoy the process of building, that's actually what creates duplication. Now, if you want to put it as a thought experiment, imagine if, half the people on your team enjoyed the process you're teaching them on how to build, and all they did was just enroll one person a month. Everybody, half your team enrolling one person a month. and they did that consistently, where half your team is enrolling one person a month, and that's a minimum, you know, like it could be more, but let's say it's just one person a month. Well, just do the math, and you're going to see over the course of 6 months, a year, that creates exponential growth. So you're not asking your team to be superhuman recruiters. You're asking them to be excited and motivated enough to just do that one act or one achievement per month. And if they're able to do that, you're looking at a monster business that grows exponentially in a rather short period of time. And so the reason you're struggling in your business right now, the reason your team is not duplicating, the reason you're not achieving your big income goals is because they love the company, they love the product, they love the comp plan, they hate the process. Give them a process they're going to love. And that's what we do here.